Hello everyone, welcome to Advanced Knowledge Systems and a warm welcome to AKS IAS Academy. And it offers examination coaching for UPSC CSE, State Public Service Commission, SSC Combined Graduate Level and CLAT examinations. And about me, I'm Sandeep Bhushan and I take up the analysis of the Hindu newspaper of today's, that is of 17th of May 2021. And throughout my session, I would be emphasizing on the keywords and the key phrases from the Hindu newspaper, wherein we will try to identify the factual, analytical and conceptual questions which will be useful for the prelims perspective. And while you get into the mode of imbibing the keywords and the key phrases in your answer writing for the mains examination, your answers for the mains examination would be precise and concise, and thereby you would score higher marks in the mains examinations. So this session at AKS IAS Academy Daily News Analysis will certainly help you to crack both the prelims as well as mains of 2021. And before we get into the DNA of the newspaper, we would be focusing at the quote of the day, and the quote of the day says that failure is success if we learn from it. So definitely there is bound to be a failure in each and every individual life, but we would certainly overcome the failure and then experience the success only when we learn from the failures. So definitely failure is success. We need to consider it, and we can overcome the failure and experience the success only if we learn from the failures. And now we'll get into the DNA of the newspaper, and here we will be focusing in regards to the kind of the effect which the states would experience in India by the cyclone Tauktae. So Tauktae is a cyclone which is of gale force winds, which is of heavy rain and high tidal waves, have already swept the coastal belt of Kerala, Karnataka and Goa, and now it is heading towards the northward of Gujarat, and it is definitely on May 16th, it has already getting very closer or approaching the northward of Gujarat. And because of this gale force winds, heavy rain and high tidal waves, there is a damage to the hundreds of houses, and this would also uproot the electrical poles and trees, and this would lead to a large scale evacuation to the people who are staying in the coastal belt of Kerala, Karnataka, Goa as well as Gujarat. So definitely the Tauktae cyclone would get into the mode of damaging the houses, uprooting the poles, trees, and it would also include a large scale evacuation. And in turn, the coastal belt of Kerala, Karnataka and Goa, which has been hit by the cyclone Tauktae, already we have experienced that 5 persons have died. So here the Tauktae cyclone is the one which is making a greater impact on the coastal states of India. And there is a news according to the Indian Meteorological Department about the cyclone Tauktae, which now has intensified into a very severe cyclonic storm, and this is likely to intensify and reach the Gujarat coast on Monday, that is on May 17, 2021. So this is the information as per the IMD in regards to the cyclone Tauktae, which is now already a very severe cyclone storm which has badly hit the coastal areas of Kerala, Karnataka and Goa, is now supposed to reach the Gujarat coast on May 17, 2021, that is evening of May 17, 2021. And there is a warning from the IMD that the flooding will take place at a low-lying areas in the Gujarat coast, and there would be a damage to the property. And this damage to the property would be to the states such as Kerala, Karnataka, Goa, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Lakshmi and South Tamil Nadu. So look at almost 5 states have been affected by this cyclone Tauktae, because it is a very severe cyclonic storm which has intensified, and this would create damage to the property, and also it would flood the low-lying areas in these states. So this is the information, or according to the IMD, that is Indian Meteorological Department. And in turn, there is a joint statement which has been issued by the Indian Meteorological Department and INCOIS. So we will look at what is INCOIS. IMD is Indian Meteorological Department and INCOIS is Indian National Center for Ocean Information Services. So what is very crucial for prelims perspective is that which among the following cities has the INCOIS, which is related to the Indian National Center for Ocean Information Services. So INCOIS is in Hyderabad, and the joint bulletin has been issued by INCOIS and IMD that there would be a forecast in regards to damage. It could be in regards to the property and also very minimal life damage at Porbandar, Amreli, Junagadh, Gir Somnath, Bodat, and then Bhavnagar, and also various coastal areas of Ahmedabad, because it would reach the Gujarat coast on the evening of May 17, 2021, which would be a very severe cyclonic storm. So here, what is crucial for prelims perspective is which among the following states, or which among the following is, or which among the following has the one which is situated in Hyderabad is Indian National Center for Ocean Information Services. And now we'll get into the another news, which is been the statement made by the chief scientist of or at the World Health Organization, that is Dr. Soumya Swaminathan, who is definitely having a keen eye on the developments of the COVID-19 pandemic situation in India, especially that the chief scientist Dr. Soumya Swaminathan has predicted that the COVID-19 pandemic is likely to have subsequent waves in India. That means now as the country is now reeling under the second wave, that is India reeling under the second wave. So the chief scientist, who is having a keen eye on the developments of the COVID-19 pandemic situation in India, is predicting that there could be a subsequent waves as well in India. That means as we are experiencing now the second, so there could be a possibility of third and also fourth wave in India. But there are clauses that we can try to reduce the impact, that is mortality and morbidity, in the third and fourth wave. In turn, only when efforts are put in for the next 6 to 18 months. And what the chief scientist, that is Dr. Soumya Swaminathan, is putting in or saying is that we can try to battle the critical pandemic situation in India, wherein India is experiencing the second wave. When we, that is the Indian government or the Indian machinery of the administration, puts an efforts for the next 16 to 18 months is or would be a critical in battling the pandemic situation and making sure that the third and the fourth subsequent waves which are likely to be hit in India would be maintained, or it could be reduced by the efforts put in by the administration for the next 6 to 18 months. So the next 6 to 18 months are crucial for the likeliness of the subsequent waves in India, is the statement made by the chief scientist at WHO, that is Dr. Soumya Swaminathan, who is eyeing or who has a keen observation on the developments of the COVID-19 pandemic situation in India. And she also makes it very clear that the next 6 to 18 months is critical in regards to handling the COVID-19 pandemic situation, that is the forthcoming subsequent waves in India, would depend on the three issues. That is, it would depend on the efforts, especially in regards to the evolution of the virus. It would depend on the ability of the vaccines to keep up the variants, that is the concerns of variants, which are the mutation of the SARS-CoV-2, which we have seen in regards to the South African variant, Brazil variant, UK variant, and Indian variant. So it is the ability of the vaccines to the variants is also the one which the subsequent waves would be reduced, or we can handle effectively the criticalness of the COVID-19 pandemic situation in India. And the third one is the duration of the protective immunity, that is the vaccine having the immunity, that is how much or what kind of duration the vaccine provides the immunity to the individuals once they are inoculated by, it could be Covishield, Covaxin, or now the new one which has arrived in India vaccine is the Sputnik one. So the one which are necessary, which depends on the criticality of handling the COVID-19 pandemic situation, is the evolution of the virus. I reiterate once again, and it is the ability of the vaccine to keep up the variants at check, and the duration of the protective immunity provided by the inoculation of the vaccines. It could be Covishield, Covaxin, or Sputnik. And she also makes it very clear that there would be, or there will be definitely an end to the acute phase of pandemic situation which the nation or India is facing. Is that could be a possibility or definitely an end only when there is, or it could happen only after vaccinating about 30% of the world population. And that could happen, that is inoculating of the 30% of the world population by the end of 2021. And she also makes it very clear that there would be a reduction of the significant reduction of the mortality, that is the deaths in the entire world and also in India. And the 2022, the year 2022 can be about ramping up of vaccination. So what is the criticality, what she has mentioned in regards to the efforts put in by the government of India to handle likely the second wave and to likely to lessen the subsequent waves in India, is that definitely in regards to the evolution of the virus, ability of the vaccine, duration of the protective immunity, and also the kind of making sure that the 30% of the world population would be vaccinated. And after that, what is the crucial point or the criticality what India has to focus, as well as the entire world, is that ramping up of vaccination. And the chief scientist at WHO, Soumya Swaminathan, has also mentioned about the usage of the drugs, or many usage of the drugs which are commonly used. She says that they have not been shown any effect on the patients. But she also makes it very clear that WHO do not authorize or did not authorize many of the drugs which are being used by various nations. But she said that nations or various countries can customize the WHO protocols for the local context. So this is the statement which we need to focus, which is critical for UPSC prelims perspective, that nations, what WHO says is nations can customize the WHO protocols for the local context. Critically evaluate. So this could be a mains perspective, a question which you can look into, how the various countries or it could be developed, developing and underdeveloped countries are trying to customize the WHO protocols for the local context, and usage of the drugs for many cases which we have seen that which the WHO has not approved the drugs. So the nations can customize the WHO protocols for the local context. And this is as per the chief scientist at WHO, that is Dr. Soumya Swaminathan, who is maintaining a keen observation on the developments of COVID-19 pandemic situation in India. And now we will focus at the another news, which is the central government has now admitted that there is, or the reality of the rural COVID spread. And this is what the government is saying. And the health ministry has admitted on May 16, 2021 that COVID-19 has ingressed, or it has pierced into peri-urban, rural areas, and then tribal areas as well. And therefore, there is rising number of cases which have been reported from rural areas of states such as Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, and Gujarat and various other states wherein we can see the tribal or Odisha also we have seen that the tribal or particularly vulnerable tribal groups, that is PVTG groups, are also been infected by the COVID-19 pandemic situation. And once this has been the rising number of cases being experienced or reported in the peri-urban, urban and tribal areas of the states from the Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Gujarat and also Odisha. Now the health ministry has admitted that yes, there is a rural spread and this rural spread of COVID-19 is a reality. And the health ministry has come up with the new standard operating procedures, and in its document of new standard operating procedure, it has focused on the COVID-19 containment and the COVID-19 management, especially in the peri-urban, rural and tribal areas. So once it has admitted that there is a rising number of cases in the peri-urban, urban or tribal areas of states such as Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Gujarat, Odisha and other states, the ministry has come up with the new document with the standard operating procedures on the COVID-19 containment and management, so that they would focus effectively and stop the spread of the COVID-19 or the SARS-CoV-2 virus in the rural areas. And the health ministry in its document of the SOP, that is the standard operating procedure, has said that there is a need to enable, that is empower the communities, and there is a need to strengthen the primary level healthcare infrastructure. So the standard operating procedures, you can consider them as the measures for the write-up for the mains examination, that how to contain the spread of virus in the rural areas. What measures have been taken up by the health ministry in its document through the standard operating procedure, that is to enable the or empower the communities and to strengthen the primary healthcare infrastructure and to provide other essential health services. And not only that, they also, the standard operating procedure also says that there has to be an active surveillance in each and every village. That means we need to have an active surveillance in each and every village, wherein there would be a test being conducted for influenza like illness, that is ILI, and also on severe acute respiratory infection, that is SARI. So there would be or there should be an active surveillance, which there should be and test for the influenza like illness or any kind of normal influenza also, and on this severe acute respiratory infection, and contract tracing should be done. And this is the fifth one which the standard operating procedure includes, is the contract tracing should be done, and that has to be done as per the ISDP guidelines. So what is ISDP guidelines? Integrated Disease Surveillance Program. So you have a guidelines as per the Integrated Disease Surveillance Program, and therefore as per the guidelines of IDSP, the contract tracing has to be done. And the sixth one is, that is the standard operating procedure, is symptomatic cases should be triaged. What do you mean by triage? That is, there should be an order of treatment for the symptomatic cases at the village level, and that has to be taken up by the teleconsultation with the community health officer, that is CHO, and the cases with the comorbidity or the cases which are with the low oxygen saturation should be sent to higher centers. So these six are the one which the document constitutes, which have been put forth by the new standard operating procedures by the health ministry, is, I reiterate once again, to enable the communities, to strengthen the primary level healthcare and to provide essential health services, to create or to have an active surveillance in every village, to have the contract tracing as per the IDSP guidelines, and to focus on the symptomatic cases that could be triaged. That means it should be considered as the order of the treatment. So these are the new SOPs taken up by the health ministry, that when it has admitted that the rural spread is a reality. And now we will look at the another news in regards to the what the meeting has been conducted by the United Nations Security Council, because amidst the global alarm which has been escalating conflict between the Israel and the Hamas, that is Israel and Palestine, that is which are specifically from the Gaza. So the UNSC in its meeting, that is United Nations Security Council, has called for an end to violence in Gaza, and this is the heaviest fighting in years, which we have seen that there is a spark in regards to the unrest in Jerusalem, and this has been sparked, that is the heavy fighting has been sparked because of the unrest in Jerusalem. So we will look at where is Jerusalem situated for the geography map based, for the prelims perspective about where is Israel and where is Gaza. So we will focus from geography and also international relations, that how the United Nations Security Council has come forth and had a meeting amidst the global alarm which has been escalating a conflict between the Gaza and Israel, and this is the heaviest fighting because it has been sparked by the unrest in Jerusalem, that is in the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and this is now created a death toll of 192 in Gaza and 10 in Israel, and therefore the United Nations Security Council has called for an immediate end to violence, and the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has pleaded that there should be an immediate end to the violence which is being taken up or which is being between the Israeli forces and the Hamas from the Gaza Strip. Now they want the immediate end because this fighting could plunge the region, entire region itself. When we are talking about region, again we will be focusing this from geography map based, from prelims perspective, how it is necessary or important to understand the region when we are focusing on the war or a war-like situation between Israel and Hamas, that it could plunge the region into an uncontainable security and humanitarian crisis. So definitely to avoid any kind of uncontainable security and humanitarian crisis, the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has pleaded for immediate end so that the fighting which has been escalated between Israel and Gaza or Hamas should not plunge into the uncontainable security and humanitarian crisis in the region. So we will focus which are these countries which are bordering the Israel or the Gaza Strip. And not only in regards to the United Nations Secretary General has come up with the plead that there should be an end to the violence which has been escalated between Israel and Hamas, but India, being part of the United Nations Security Council meeting, has also called for an immediate de-escalation. So this is what India has pushed for, immediate de-escalation between Israel and Palestine. And it also says, that is the country India also says, that the situation between Israel and Palestine should come up with an de-escalation process at the United Nations Security Council meeting. And India has urged both the sides, that is Israel and Palestine, that they should show an extreme restraint against the violence and they should desist from action which both the countries, that is both Israel and Palestine or Hamas, are helping to exacerbate the tension or to increase the tension in the region. And also both Israel and Palestine should refrain from attempts to unilaterally change the existing status quo, that is about the East Jerusalem or neighborhood. That means definitely they have to focus the status quo which is between Israel and Palestine in regards to the East Jerusalem, and not only East Jerusalem but also in regards to the its neighborhood, that is neighboring places of East Jerusalem. So East Jerusalem is, or Jerusalem, if you focus, is part of West Bank. So we will focus again all this from geography map based, that where is West Bank, Jerusalem, and then also in regards to the Gaza, and what are the countries which are bordering Israel, from international relations and also geography map based. And we know that there is certainly a VS fighting which is being now taken up, and Israel, when it is making it that Israel in its meet, that is in the United Nations Security Council meeting, it has told that the violence is premeditated by Hamas, and they have premeditated the violence against Israel to gain political power. Who is saying this? This is Israel, which has told the United Nations Security Council about the airstrikes being taken up by Hamas from Gaza Strip into Israel territory and Israel's Iron Dome anti-missile system. So we have to focus on the another key phrase from technology, science and technology also, that which is the system which has intercepted 100 rockets which have been fired from Gaza Strip, that is by Hamas into Israel, that is the Iron Dome anti-missile system. So this is a system which has been used by Israel to intercept almost 1,000 rockets which have been fired by Hamas from Gaza into Israel. So if you look at, this is the strip, it is called as Gaza Strip, this area. And you have this area which is called as West Bank. So this constitutes West Bank. So you have the Gaza Strip, which has been formed as per the 1950 armistice line or armistice, having a kind of solution between Palestine and Israel, and the West Bank as per the 1949 armistice line. So Gaza Strip and West Bank both together, Gaza Strip plus West Bank both together is Palestine, today's Palestine, and the rest of the area, that is called Israel. That means this entire area from here apart from Gaza Strip and apart from West Bank, all the rest of the area is Israel. And we will also focus at what are these countries which are bordering Israel. So definitely it is, you have the Gaza Strip, that is Palestine, you have Egypt, you have Jordan, you have Syria, and you have Lebanon. And the another one is you have the Golan Heights here. You can see the Golan Heights here, which the Israel has occupied. And if we look at the terrorist organizations which are stationed in Golan Heights or surrounding, that is surrounding the places of Golan Heights, it could be Syria or Lebanon, is you have Hezbollah. So this is the terrorist organization which is causing inconvenience to the Israel from the northeast of Israel, that is from Golan Heights, which Israel has occupied. But still you have the kind of Hezbollah trying to have 8 strikes onto Israel. And if you look at the Gaza Strip, here you have Hamas. So Hamas, no doubt, the Israel and also United Nations Security Council focuses or looks at Hamas as a terrorist organization. But Hamas is a group which has been part of the Palestine unity government in Palestine, especially in Gaza. So these are the overall perspective which I am trying to give both from international relations, that we are focused about the 1950 armistice line which the Gaza Strip has been formed, and the 1949 armistice line which the West Bank has formed, and the countries which are bordering Israel is Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, and the Golan Heights, which is a disputed one but occupied by Israel, and the terrorist organization which are stationed at or close to Golan Heights are Hezbollah, and the Hamas are at or part of Gaza Strip, Palestine. And you can also see the Dead Sea, which is bordering Jordan and Israel, which is bordering Jordan and Israel. And you have the Mediterranean Sea also, which the Israel, majority of the Israel is also coastal to the Mediterranean Sea. So this is as per the geography map base which we have focused. And now we will look at the Iron Dome rocket shield or the Iron Dome anti-missile system, which Israel has intercepted around or over 1,000 rockets which have been fired by Hamas from the Gaza Strip into Israel, that is from this area into Israel. Fine. So now we will focus at the keyword, that is anti-missile, that is Iron Dome anti-missile rocket system or rocket shield. And if you look at this Iron Dome rocket shield has three parts. So the first one is the radar, second one is the control center, and the third one is the launcher. So when we focus the first one, so this is the first one which has the radar system. So this radar system of the Iron Dome rocket system or rocket missile system or anti-missile system has a radar, and this radar detects the target and monitors the trajectory. Please do understand, it detects and monitors the trajectory. And once the work of the radar has completed, so next comes into action is the control center of the Iron Dome anti-missile system. So this control system, so this is the second one. So this is the control system. So this control system calculates the intercept, that is the enemy rockets, and it points and commands the launch. So what is the importance of the control system is it calculates the intercept point. So where the missile, anti-missile has to intercept the rocket of the enemy or the enemy rocket. So this calculate, the control center calculates the intercept point. So here if you focus, so this is the intercept point where it has to make sure that the launch or the anti-missile will target the rocket and the launcher. So this is the launcher. So you have the launcher which contains 20 Tamir missiles which are equipped with proximity warheads. So you have the Tamir missiles. So what is the anti-missiles which are being used by Israel, that is Iron Dome rocket shield, is Tamir interceptor. So this is again important for prelims perspective, Tamir. And the length of the Tamir missile is 3 meters and it weighs 90 kgs. So this is the Iron Dome missile. So here if you look at, so first the launcher, if you look at, the first is the one which is in regards to the radar. It detects the target and monitors trajectory, and then it is the control center which calculates the intercept point, and the launcher is the one which is equipped with the Tamir missiles. And once it is fired, then if you look at, this is Gaza Strip which Hamas are firing rockets into Israel, and we can consider this as Israel. So when the Israel are using the Iron Dome rocket shield, so it is launched, and this rocket is the one from Hamas which they are firing, and then it intercept and then make sure that the trajectory it locates, and then it makes sure that it intercept effectively, and it gun downs the rocket at a high altitude, or it intercepts the rocket at an high altitude. So this is one. So the rocket, the first one is the rocket which is fired at Israel from Gaza, that is by Hamas, and the second one is the radar of the Israel which locates the rocket in flight, and the third one, that is this, a second after the rocket is fired. Just look at the kind of efficiency of the anti-missile rocket of Israel. Once the rocket is fired, the Israel launches the faster missile, and the missile will intercept it and make sure that the rocket will not get into Israel territory. So this is how the Iron Dome works, and this is the application part of the Iron Dome anti-missile system. So it could be useful to have a few points in the mains examination, and also from the prelims perspective, the 3 stages, that is the radar, the control center, the launcher, and the name of the missile is Tamir interceptor missile, which has the length of 3 meters and it weighs 90 kgs and it can be fired up to 75 kilometers. And if you look at the 3, that is the radar, control center and launcher, all these 3 together are termed as battery. So one battery consists of radar, it consists of control center and the launcher. So please do understand, these 3 constitutes a battery. And this, all the 3, that is the radar, control center and the launcher, which is of one battery, cost 50 to 80 million US dollars. And when you talk about the missile, each missile, which is the Tamir interceptor missile, which is of 3 meters length and 90 kgs weight, it cost 50,000 US dollars. So all this information are crucial for prelims perspective, that each battery constitutes which among the following? It constitutes radar, control center, launcher. And the missile is called as Tamir interceptor. So I hope this information provided at the daily news analysis is an informative, knowledgeable one, useful for mains as well as prelims perspective. So I would say a very big thank you to all. Good luck to you all. And then do maintain consistency, stick to your schedule and take care of your physical health and mental health. And do not forget to like the video, share the video and subscribe the AKS IAS Academy English Medium YouTube channel, and also have access to the website and Telegram link of AKS IAS Academy, that is Advanced Knowledge System. And then see you again tomorrow with the daily news analysis. Till then, thank you, goodbye, and then take care.